You're going to want to share this video with your friends on social media, liking it, sharing it, whatever you can do, people that you like. I've been sitting here in beautiful Kauai. I've had time to rest and think, and have realized that we are on the verge of a breakout on Tesla that we've all been waiting for. You know, you have to wait sometimes. You have to go through these level times, and then we've seen it before, the breakout happens. I don't think there's any chance in the world that this breakout isn't going to happen within the next 12 months. And it will be significant. It will be memorable. And the breakout will just continue. It won't just be for 12 months. This will continue on. If you'd like your friends to participate in this, you need to let them know about it. This is Randy Kirk. You can wait to like this video until later if you prefer, or you can like it now. I hope you're going to like it. If you don't, I'd like to know that too. Let me know in the comments below, and then subscribe and notify. And then if you really like this video, and if you really think that it had value in your life, then hit me up. $5 a month on Patreon would be lovely. All right. What we're going to do in this video is we're going to take a look at all of the, well, not all, we're going to take a look at what I consider to be the major first. We're going to look first at the major downside risks. What could go wrong in the next 12 months that would cause Tesla to go back down below, say, 165, or go back and test the all-time low of 100, the recent low of 100. What could possibly make something like that happen? Well, of course, number one would be a huge economic crisis that would affect all macro. So we could have the entire Dow and the NASDAQ and the Standard & Poor's, all of it go back down and test those lows, or even go down below the lows that they hit before last year and early this year. And if that happened, Tesla is likely to at least have to absorb some of that. Might even go down again, back to 100. But it would take a major. I don't think it's going to be because we have a minor recession. I don't think it's even going to be because we have a couple of months of serious recession. I think it's going to take something major to make that happen. But if it is really major and significant, I can see it happening. Number two would be some really, really bad moment for Elon or for Tesla. So, you know, some horrible accident or something of that nature, which was hard to describe away, or something that Elon says that would just be mind-numbing. You're just like, oh no, he did it again after 3 a.m. These things can happen. They can happen to companies all the time. I've been involved with, not my own companies, but I've been involved with other companies where there's this headline in the newspaper in the old days, headline in the newspaper that it was, the go to war type, and the company was just devastated by this moment. Well, of course, that can happen. Anytime you can have that kind of thing happen, and that can take a stock down for at least a good long time. Number three would be the demand turns out actually not to be enough to absorb 600,000 or 700,000, 800,000 more Model Ys this year. And nothing that Tesla can do solves it. So they advertise, they promote, they ask people to tell their neighbor, and they'll give them $1,000 if their neighbor buys it, or all kinds of effort, no matter what the effort, reducing the prices again. Whatever they do, it seems not to work. They pull all the marketing levers and they still can't move all that metal. So they end up shutting down, for some period of time, in order not to have to, pay all that extra storage and find places to park all the vehicles. That could happen. It's hard to imagine at this point, with the pent-up demand for automobiles in the United States and with the dramatic acceptance of the BEV idea around the world, but in particular in China and Europe. It's hard to imagine that happening, but it's possible. And that, of course, if they start piling up inventory in parking lots, or if they start shutting down facilities because they just can't sell it all, you could imagine the stock going back, testing the 165s, maybe even going back below that. Could happen. That maybe is the most likely of the things that we've talked about so far. So then the next thing would be that the Mexico factory has a major hit to its timeline. So everybody's expecting Mexico to be up and running by next April, May, June. All of a sudden something happens, permits, lawsuits, who knows what, kind of Berlinish type of situation. And all of a sudden we're looking at, first quarter 2025 as the new date. Okay, that could be a hit. I don't think that would probably take it down very far. It might be one of those things with a couple of 3 days, but everybody's really expecting a lot from the new Generation 3 vehicles. It's not so much that we need the factory, it's that we want the Gen 3 vehicles. Now, it's possible that they'll also be making Gen 3 vehicles in Shanghai, and maybe the Shanghai facility gets cranked up anyway, and that could solve a little bit of that problem. Anyway, that's it. Those are the only 4 I could come up with. Do you have more? Would you let me know in the comments. Here's 1 or 2 or 3 more things that you think would actually mess things up bad enough that Tesla would start to, I'm sorry, I left out, something happens to Elon, something happens to Tom, something happens to, one of the major players, that always takes a hit. But if it was Elon, that would be, pretty horrible. So that would be number 5. All right, but what else? What else could happen? All right, now let's talk about the 11 things, most of which have, let's say, at least 50% chance of happening by first quarter of 2024. And some of them are way ahead of 50%. Some of them are already happening. And they could have, and probably will have a major impact upward on the stock immediately. It already happening, already starting to see it, and will likely continue to push it up all this year. And then some of these would push it up to crazy numbers, as I'm sure you'll agree with me before we're done. So I'm going to start with an odd one, and I'm going to end with an odd one. These are 2 that you're probably not thinking about. Maybe you are. And I also think that there's items I didn't think of that you could put down in the comments, because I read your comments, I love your comments, and I respond to lots of them. All right. Number 1, Elon Musk heading a massive PR push. Oh, it's already started. So Elon could dedicate, 1 hour a week, 2 hours a week to being on CNBC, getting interviewed by the Wall Street Journal. Oh, those things have already happened. Oh, well, do it some more. Being on Twitter Spaces. Oh, yeah, he's going to introduce DeSantis as a candidate for president of the United States on Twitter Spaces. And I don't know if anybody will pay any attention to that. Oh, yeah, that'll get some news. So the PR genius, maybe of all time, how did he think of this idea to have DeSantis come on Spaces? Oh my gosh, he's going to get a massive amount of people watching Spaces that day, which is going to help Twitter, which is going to help his brand, which is going to help the entire, Elon sphere, because it just gives him much, much more credibility across the board. So, and then, as some people pointed out, I'm sure that if Trump wants to come on Spaces, he'd be happy to have Trump on Spaces. If Biden wants to come on Spaces, I'm sure that the president would be, anytime he wants to come on, I'm sure that Elon would be happy to have that happen. So he's also set up a potential for crazy Spaces opportunities downstream. Again, good for Spaces, good for Twitter, good for the entire Elon economy. So this has already started. This is definitely going to have high impact in terms of keeping Tesla, keeping Elon in the news. Watch for it. It'll just be constant all this year. By itself, could raise the stock 20, 30, 50 points easily just by him doing these PR events. Number 2, advertising. Okay, well, we've been having this fight now for a year, and Elon finally capitulated, said, okay, the advertising will begin. And it's going to happen at some point. It may be successful. It may not be successful. The odds are it's going to have some impact. It's pretty hard, if you are as bright as his team is, not to put together an ad that's at least going to move some metal. Now, it may move metal at a lower rate than you'd like to, a lower return on investment that you're hoping for. But these are bright guys and gals, so we would expect that this will be successful and it'll have a good ROI. And maybe it'll be a much better ROI than lowering prices. And so that might allow margins to come up, and hey, maybe it makes money. Maybe the advertising campaign makes money. They'll learn from the advertising campaign and they'll begin to do changes and differences going forward because of their massive ability to handle and evaluate data and then apply AI to what they're doing in order to narrow focus better, all the kinds of things that any advertising person would love to have at their disposal. I've told my clients for years, I have had hundreds of clients over the years, and every one of them is horrible at collecting data for me. All I ask them to do is when they get a phone call, ask, how did you hear about me? That's all I want them to do. And they never do it. I need that data. Well, believe me, Tesla's going to know how people heard about them, how they ended up coming to the website and placed order for a car. All right, so that advertising, it's going to have an impact. Will it be 10 points on the Dow? Will it be, 10 points on the stock? Will it be 20, 50, 100? We don't know, but I can guarantee you that once the advertising campaign starts and we start to see more cars going out the door and prices beginning to rise, margins beginning to increase, it's going to affect the stock, and it could affect it in a really significant way. All right, number 3, this is kind of tied in, but it could happen independent. It could happen even before the ad campaign begins. And that is, number 3 would be selling more than 500,000 cars per quarter, equivalent of more than 2 million cars for the year. I think this could happen. It's a slim possibility in this quarter. This quarter, I think, is going to be closer to 490. It'll be close to 500,000. I think it'd be hard for them to get over 5, but it could happen. But I think it'll definitely happen in the third quarter and way over 500,000 in the fourth quarter. And as that happens, that is going to be an execution standard that will drive the stock. I think you know this. I don't have to tell you this. It will drive the stock no matter what. Even if margins are still at 19% or 20%, if they're moving over 2 million cars a year, they're going to make more profit than people are currently expecting. Therefore, the stock will rise. 5 points, 10 points, 20 points. Depends on the margins, of course. That's next. So if that happens, expect the stock to go up. Now, we've already just talked about 3 things, all of which have more than 50% chance of happening, 2 of which are going to happen or almost certainly going to happen. The third one, selling 500,000 cars per quarter, is almost certainly going to happen. So these aren't like maybes. These are like pretty much in the bag. Well, okay, number 4 is also pretty close. An actual Cybertruck handoff event with solid post-handoff reviews. So I've combined those 2. When I do my catalyst shows, I have that as 2 different things because it'll happen at 2 different times. But I'm just saying the combination, you can't just have the handoff. The handoff will pump the stock up a little bit. But if the reviews are horrible, then that's just going to come back down. You got to have the handoff and the good reviews. That's going to be happening, let's say, between September 1st and the end of the year. All of that's going to happen between September 1st and the end of the year. You will have the handoff and you will have the reviews. There's some chance, greater than 0, that there won't be a handoff. If there's a handoff, there's no chance there won't be reviews. So therefore, I'm saying by the first quarter of 2024, you will have the handoff and the reviews. I'm assuming the reviews will be amazing, astonishing. We already know some of the things that the truck can do, but the rest of the world doesn't. And then these trucks are going to be driving around town. People are going to see them. It's a driving billboard. You don't even have to put the brand on it. Everybody's going to know what it is. Everybody's going to be talking about it. Everybody's going to be telling their neighbor about it. So watch for that. The stock will rise because of it. We got so many things going on. It may be hard to tell that it's the Cybertruck that's causing the increase, but it will have an impact. Again, if any of these things don't sound right to you, please put it in the comments. Say, Randy, no. When the Cybertruck is handed off, we've seen it in the past. We have the handoff and then the stock goes down. Well, but did the stock go up before the event? Sometimes we have the whole thing of buy on the rumor, sell on the news. Overall, there is no way that the introduction of the Cybertruck, actually handing off the first units, then beginning to ship production and have customers pick up the product, and then having various organizations reviewing it, there's no way that's not going to cause the stock to go up if the reviews are positive. If they're really positive, then we could have a lot more increase in what's happening in the marketplace. All right, so then we're going to have number 5, multiple Optimus videos with shocking updates. shocking updates on AI day 3. So we've already been pretty impressed. If you haven't been impressed, I've been impressed, and every roboticist I know has been impressed. So we're going to see more of these Optimus videos. We're promised one on earnings day for the second quarter earnings day in July. So we're going to see one then. If we don't see one before, Elon talked about a 30-minute video. In order to do a 30-minute video, it's going to have to show us that it's doing some useful stuff. So that could be a point in time where the market starts to go, this is the biggest opportunity in human history. Do I want to be a part of it or not? Am I going to wait until these things are actually being sold and we find out what the cost is and everything else, and before I make a decision that I want to be a part of this opportunity? I don't think a lot of people are going to want to FOMO this one too long. So there's going to be a point. There's going to be a day. I can't tell you what that day is. You may not know what that day is either. There's going to be a day, and I'm saying it's between now and January, when the investment community is going to wake up and go, Optimus is real, Optimus is going to happen, and Optimus is the largest opportunity in human history from a business standpoint, and they want to be a part of it. They're going to take some amount of money and put it on the line. And then AI Day 3 is the most likely time for that to happen. I still believe that on AI Day 3, there will be a full-on demonstration of Optimus able to do thousands of tasks, not 10 tasks, not 100 tasks. Look at my old videos, not 500 tasks, thousands of tasks that Optimus will be able to do. Once you get the training process going, especially with the large language models, with the neural nets that are happening now, it's not going to be that hard to train Optimus to do these functions. So whatever those functions are, putting tape on a box, putting the box up onto a conveyor to get it to UPS, picking them up and putting them on the UPS, taking them off the UPS, I don't know. Driving a forklift, there's going to be lots and lots of things that Optimus will be able to do, and they will show these on AI Day 3, and they will give a price, probably, I'm going to say it's $50,000 a year to lease it. And I'm saying that they'll take orders. They'll put up a place where people can put in their application and pick up their Optimus. So if that happens, do you think maybe the stock will respond to that? But I think it will be responding to the Optimus before that day. Hey, there could even be a sell-off on that day based on selling the news. But I think the reality is that's going to be a Kickstarter that will generate massive moves in the stock. All right. And we go to increasing ASP and auto margins at each successive earnings call. So the average selling price and the auto margins will be going up every single earnings call from now until January's earnings call for the fourth quarter. So in the second quarter, the ASP will be higher than the roughly 47,000, I think it was. So maybe to be 48. It'll be higher margins. So instead of 19, it'll be 20 or 21. It will be more units than expected. I'm saying 490 for the second quarter. So all these things will start beating the street, being better than expected. And every time that happens, and I've been talking about this since last time, every time that happens, it will be a reason why the stock will continue to be under upward pressure. It will continue to push forward because it's showing execution, and it's showing that the bad narrative is ending or over completely with regard to the ability to move the metal. So that is number 6. Number 7, there will be multiple announcements of execution on or expansions of energy, battery, and semi-truck capacity. So between now and first quarter 2024, there will be announcements about the energy megapacks at Lathrop. Let's say, for instance, megapacks at Lathrop. There will be an announcement that they are now hitting their full 40 gigawatt capacity. There will be an announcement that the Shanghai megapack factory is beginning production, and that all the equipment's in and ready to go, or maybe we see first outs or something. We will have announcements potentially of additional megapack factories being built, being started up, probably Austin next. That's my guess. But we'll have those announcements. We'll have announcements with regard to the battery production at Austin, achieving new highs, continuously new highs, until it gets to the point where it's a full 100 gigawatts of production, and that Reno is beginning to put in their line. And that equipment is being sent up there because now we know enough about what's happening in Austin to be able to put the lines in at Reno. Those kind of announcements are going to be made all this year. And every time there's a battery announcement, it's more evidence of execution on 4680s, and it will cause the stock to be elevated, pushed up. Pressure under, not pressure on top. Pressure on top has been, oh, they'll never get batteries done. You switch that narrative around, and now it's, oh, they're getting batteries done. And it looks like, yeah, they got this down, then that's going to move the stock up. All right. Number 9, FSD level 4 or 5. Now here, this is, up till now, most of these things are probably going to happen, right? 80% likely, 75% likely. Well, okay. Which one? Optimus videos and the shocking update. Okay, that was 50%. For me, it's like 80%, but maybe for you, you want to put that one as a 30%. So, but the rest of them pretty much going to happen. Okay. I forgot to mention semi capacity. What's wrong with me? You know how much I love semi, and everybody keeps forgetting about semi. I just did the same thing. So promise of 40,000 semis next year out of Sparks, call it Sparks, call it Reno. I still haven't heard much from Elon in terms of reaffirming that number. But if between now and then we begin to see 100 a week, even 100 a month, but 100 a week coming off the line, it could be that the line is already being established now. We just don't know it. And we begin to see actual production off the line even before 2024. That will start to set a signal. That will reverse again. The narrative right now is, what happened to semi? Forget semi. I guess it's not going to happen. And I guess they got some problems. That's a negative pushing down. We turn that around and you got 100 semis coming off the line every week and the reviews are good, that's going to push the stock upward. All right. Now, FSD level 4 or 5. Now, this is one. I'm just going to use James Dama. I think most of the people in the Twitter world respect James Dama more than anybody else with regard to his thinking on the AI stuff and with regard to FSD, not because he's having any different kind of an experience when he's driving FSD, but rather because of his knowledge of AI and his knowledge of how these things tend to go. And of course, James recently said, for the first time with version 11.4, I can see the end. He estimated 18 months from that date, which has been only a few weeks ago. So 18 months from then, let's say by the end of next year, we would have full self-driving actually operational, level 5, drive from the back seat, etc. So that's, I believe that's a proper understanding of what James said. If it's not, put it in the comments below, but I believe that's what he said. So if that's true, then that's his outside number, 18 months. So it could be 12, it could be 11, it could be 10, could be tomorrow. Elon says we're heading for that chat GPT moment at Tesla. That's the chat GPT moment, although there's one other possibility, which we'll get to. So that could be the situation. All of a sudden, we wake up one day and you can drive the thing from your back seat. The videos that start getting made are people driving it from their back seat. And the world wakes up like they did to chat GPT. And it's like the stock goes nuts, obviously. Okay. So what are the chances of that happening by January of next year? Put it at 50%, put it at 30, put it at 20, but there's a number. If you're a stock investor, that's the great thing about these kinds of risk situations is what's the number? If the number hits, what percentage am I willing to give it? And what's it worth if it hits? And what's the downside if it doesn't? Well, the downside, there's no downside if it doesn't, other than continuing to have that little bit of pressure on the stock that says FSD is never going to happen. It's just nonsense. Who thinks that could possibly happen? Okay. So I'm saying 50% chance by January of next year. All right. Number 10, the reveal and the beginning of the taking of orders for the Gen 3 vehicles. Again, we don't know when the factory will be done, April, May, June next year, starting to roll out some samples or some version, or maybe the handoff of the very beginning of Gen 3 vehicles. So sometime before that date, 6 months, 3 months, whatever, there'll be a time, there'll be a reason that Elon will decide, okay, this is when we're going to do the reveal. and we're going to take orders, let people put their $100 deposit down. I'm saying that happens before January of next year. Maybe it happens in March. So there's a percentage chance. Now, once again, same story. Does anybody doubt that there's going to be a $25,000 vehicle next year? I mean, pretty much the world, I think, even more than FSD, I think the world could say, yeah, there's going to be a vehicle next year. What would hold them back? I mean, they know how to make batteries. They know how to make drivetrains. They know how to make, I'm sure they know how to do this new unbox process. Yeah, things could happen in Mexico. That's why I gave that as an example above, but maybe they get it going in Shanghai. So I'm saying I could be off. It could be off by 6 months. It doesn't matter. It's going to happen. And when it happens, it's going to produce massive amounts of sales and profits. So as an investor, I would be investing in that risk now. I'd be investing in that likelihood now. There's a percentage chance, and the volume is massive. So that's just one more thing that as we get closer and closer to the day, and there's nothing getting in the way of the actual happening, you'll begin to see the stock responding to it, the pressure from below. Now that's 10 things already, but I told you 11 would be fun. So what's number 11? This is brand new. Nobody's saying this. Hey, tell me if you've heard anybody say this. Please put it in the comments if you've heard anybody come close to saying this. Dojo as a service will be rolled out at the AI Day 3 with all of the glitz, the best kind of glitz that Elon knows how to put on. And what it will show is that Dojo as a service will be as easy a plug-in as all the ChatGPT stuff is now. Every human on Earth who has any knowledge of how to do the internet will be able to go into ChatGPT, go into Dojo. They'll be able to go into the Dojo network. They will be able to use very easy methodologies, very easy apps, plugins, whatever, to be able to take advantage of the learning networks that are in Dojo. Now, I don't know enough, quite frankly, about any of this to be able to say what that really means on the individual level, like Randy Kirk being able to use it. But it may mean that there's an entire layer, maybe in the millions of individuals working for companies or working for themselves, that will have an application for these learning capabilities that have never been explored, that have never been contemplated. Just like when you are able to send product into space for $1,000 a kilo, it changes it compared to $1 million a kilo. And if you get it down to $100 a kilo, it changes it again in terms of who now can participate, who can now say, I'd like to put something in space, and for $100 a kilo, I can afford it. So this is what's going to happen. This learning capability is going to be something that might have an application to you and me, but it'll certainly have application to somebody just one step above in terms of the AI world, who has lots of opportunities, lots of ideas, lots of approaches that they will be able to use, not even to mention the major companies who have tons of ways that they will want to manipulate data using massive compute, that Tesla will not only have the massive ability to handle it in Dojo, but also provide the tools to make it easy. Could it happen? Of course it could. Now, this is the least likely thing on my list, because Elon hasn't even said that Dojo as a service is going to happen. But what will happen here is, first of all, that alone, the stock would go nuts, especially if it's kept under wraps. And that's announced that day, and it's shown what it can do. Just like Google's been showing the last couple of weeks what Google's AI stuff can do. And people are like, oh my gosh. I mean, my eyes are spinning from the capacity of ChatGPT and Google and Bard and all the plugins and all the apps. My eyes are spinning from all of that. And everybody I know, their eyes are spinning. Can you imagine if we go one level further and Dojo can do that, it can do stuff on actual the learning side, it'll be crazy. And that'll be tied in then at AI Day 3, it'll be tied into Optimus, what Optimus can do. And with Tesla being such a leader in FSD, maybe even having full FSD by that time or being this close, that'll all be tied together at AI Day 3. And that will be the day when many, many people who haven't already been convinced will acknowledge finally that Tesla is an AI company that does robots, but has all this amazing AI capability over and above the robot thing. Maybe they'll even introduce another chat GPT thing between now and then, who knows? But there's all kinds of possibilities. And right now, who gets the highest amount of interest on the internet? It is everything to do with AI. So over the course of this next year, that's going to be true. Whoever is leading, doing leading edge things, showing actual profitable kinds of things that this AI can do for their company, they are going to be the ones that are going to be just rocketing to the moon. This is the biggest change in my life. I think the whole AI thing with regard to ChatGPT and whatnot, I think it is the fastest and possibly the most consequential change in human history. But just wait until Optimus comes out, then that will be the most significant change in human history. So, wow, all within possibly a year. This is Randy Kirk. If any of this was valuable to you, if any of this was new to you, if any of this is worth commenting, please comment. I love your comments. Please like and subscribe and notify. And then if this is a channel where maybe something happens different and some of it might be useful to you, and you'd like to support the channel so that I'll keep thinking hard. Anyway, go to Patreon. It's down below. You can subscribe. It's as low as $5 a month. This is Randy Kirk. It's been great talking to you.
Click the link below to get your paperback, Kindle, or audiobook now.